In a moment, we will go downstairs and discuss the details of the mosque together with you. We observe with a sense of awe from here that the mosque you see was destroyed in 1915 and that its dome and upper covering system completely disappeared. It really makes one feel sad. There are so many historical monuments in every corner of Turkey that we pass by without even noticing. Look, I'm from Manisa. I studied history at Van Yüzüncü Yıl University, and while studying history, I traveled to Başkale, Hakkari, Bitlis, and Siirt with my fellow student friends. That was in the 1990s. Despite the difficult circumstances of that period, I visited as many places as I could. Now I'm 48 years old. It's 2025, and this is the first time I'm seeing this place. Where is this place? This is Zernic village located between Van and Gurpınar Başkale, just 2 kilometers off the main road. Its old name is Hammerkiesen village. And this is a place right at the heart of history. Come and see. Do you see the view? There's a magnificent castle standing right in front of us here. Zernic Castle. If this castle is here, you can probably understand that this is not just a simple village. This was an extremely important place. This was an administrative center. As you know, when the Ottoman Empire governed the region, it ruled it with the people of that region. It governed Yozgat with the Çapanoğlu family. It governed Bitlis with the Şerefan family. And it governed the area between Hakkari and Van with the base of Hakkari. So when you leave Van, you arrive in Gürpınar in about 40 minutes. And when you arrive in Gürpınar and turn towards Başkale, between Gürpınar and Başkale, look, this place greets you. Hammerkiesen Castle, also known as Zernic Castle. The Zernic Beys had this castle built. They stayed here since the castle does not have a construction inscription. When we trace its origins, it might even go back to the Urartians. But unfortunately, it is not possible to say anything definite. The only thing we know for sure is that it was built by the Zernic Beys. We know that the castle took its final form, especially under Besharat Bey, the son of Ibrahim Bey. When you look at the castle, there is a harem section inside. There is a kitchen, a matbah section. The castle has bastions and walls. There is even a bathhouse structure inside the castle. Of course, the structure was built using rubble stone, lime, rubble stone, and adobe. And because of this, the building has suffered quite a bit of damage. Since it hasn't been restored or cared for, that's the state of the structure today. If we don't intervene, the castle will completely disappear within 10 to 15 years. If you look just beside the castle, you'll see there are graves there. So the castle used to be the old settlement area of Zernic. Of course, when the castle could no longer be used, the town gradually moved downwards, meaning this village shifted down the hill, and on that hill, at the foot of the castle, there is the old cemetery of the castle. The headman of the castle mentions the existence of gravestones in the cemetery that date back 8 centuries. The elders of the village say that there are 72 shrines of saints within the village. When we ask the villagers, they claim that the sick and even those with mental health issues were brought to the castle, placed in certain spots within the castle, and found healing within an hour to a day. But there is one thing we do know. This place was evidently a center of healing, culture, and administration. In fact, you don't have to try very hard to realize that this place was an art center. As we look at Zernic Castle, our eyes are immediately drawn to this magnificent gate, and we are left in awe. Yes, look, on the inscription, on the gate inscription, it says Fi Sene. That is, the year this gate and the mosque were built is 1122. So it's a castle built at the beginning of the 1700s. And likewise, it's a mosque built at the beginning of the 1700s. At the foot of Zernic Castle, we come across the Zernic Hammerkiesen Mosque. While reading the inscription on the mosque's door, we see the name of Hazrat Sayyid Muhammad here. In other words, this mosque was built by a person named Sayyid Muhammad. It's exactly 300 years old. This mosque was built in the Ottoman architectural style. Here is the Hüsrev Pasha Mosque, located in the old city of Van. The Kayet Celebi Mosque right next to it are examples of single dome mosque types. This one is the same. This is also a single domed mosque type. When you look closely, this art truly impresses you. Look, along the edge of the door, a beautiful braided arch runs all the way across. It's in the form of a braid. Below, there's a base, as you can see, shaped like a lamp. Above the base, the braid pattern continues all the way around. And here as well, we can see almost the exact same pattern as the 16th century painted motifs on the half domes of Edirne Selimiye used in Ottoman dome decorations. There are also some interesting scratchings on the stones. I paid a lot of attention to these, especially if you pay attention to these ones. Look, these are sun discs. These sun discs were used by the Turks in Central Asia, Turkestan, even by the Hittites in Anatolia, and the Kurdish beys of Hakkari. All of them use these sun discs you see here. Just 4 days before this shoot, I was in Urla, Izmir. In Urla, Izmir, there is a mosque built in 1554 during the reign of Suleiman the Magnificent, right in the center of URLA. On the exterior side of the mosque's Qibla wall, there is a sun disk. And that day, my professor Neval Konuk was there. I asked our esteemed associate professor, art historian Neval Hoka, who was with me, "Professor, what is this?" She said, "This." She said, "This is our very ancient, long-standing tradition of the sun disk." The sun disk.
And for example, look right here just above the mihrab.
There's a circle, something there. Professor, shall we take a look?
The sun motif from the ancient Turks.
Are you serious, Professor?
Yes, this is an old Turkish tradition.
The sun disk, we talk about the Hittite sun disk, is also present among us.
We have it too, the Turks have it. Even today, for example, it's on flags. You see the sun on the flags of various states in the Turkic world, as you know.
Yes, in Kyrgyzstan and so on.
In Kyrgyzstan, yes, the same sun. The same sun, the sun. Look, here again is a trace from Turkish culture. But as you said, the spiked eaves are an early Ottoman feature, even though it appears as a classical period mosque. Architecturally, it displays characteristics of the early Ottoman period.
See, you can see it, right? I mean, when you hear it from an expert, someone who doesn't know, who just look and think they've made a circle out of bricks, but the story goes so much deeper.
And of course, what's important here is that right below there's the mihrab. It emphasizes modesty.
And look, the same sun disk I saw in the Qibla area of the 1554 Kanuni era mosque in Urla, Izmir, can also be seen here between Gürpınar and Başkale in a single domed Ottoman mosque dating back to the 1700s. Actually, if you look closely, there's some very interesting wall graffiti here. Who knows, maybe even the painful stories this mosque has witnessed were written or drawn here. If you're ready, I'll move on to the most dramatic part. The most dramatic part. Come on, let's take a look at this mosque from a bit farther away. Let the cameraman be careful behind. Look, there's a stone wall structure here. It ends at a certain point. After that, with Ahlat stone, you know, Ahlat in Bitlis is famous for its stone. The upper part was rebuilt with Ahlat stone. The drum of the dome was also completed with the same stone, and a single dome was placed on top. So why is there a difference in the stone? The answer is 1915. The Armenian atrocities. You know that so-called Armenian genocide they try to advertise to the whole world, that lie? Here, I'm telling you the real story, right at the source. The atrocities committed by Armenians in Eastern Anatolia against us, against our Muslim community. By the way, it hasn't even been a week since this happened. In the Grand National Assembly of Turkey, Mr. George spoke up. A member of parliament, the deputy from Mardin, they spread all sorts of falsehoods, saying Armenians were hanged like this, slaughtered like that. They claimed the Christian population was wiped out like this, spreading the lies. Mr. George, just making speeches from the parliament podium isn't enough for this. You need to get up, leave your comfort behind, and speak from the actual place. If you want, I can go to Mardin in your place and tell about the atrocities committed by Armenians in the villages of Mardin. At this point, I don't even know where you Syriac, Gregorian, Armenian, Greek, or someone else. We are not racist people. In the Ottoman era, in the Seljuk era, and in our present-day Republic of Turkey, we have always loved the non-Muslim population within our own society. Yesterday, I was in Istanbul. I had a Bosphorus tour. If you ever come to Istanbul, let me show you around. In Kuzguncuk, Istanbul, an Armenian Gregorian church and a mosque stand side by side. They are right next to each other. In the middle, there is the minaret of the mosque. On one side of the minaret, there is a dome. On top of it, there is a crescent. On the other side of the minaret, there is a dome. On top of it, there is a cross. Yes, Armenian Gregorian. If you don't know, come and let me show you around. Bring your friends, bring the other members of parliament. I don't want any money or anything. I'll show you around. Let me show you how Armenians are enjoying life in Istanbul. If you want, I can even give you a Bosphorus tour. I'm not saying these things as a joke. I'm saying this with the seriousness of a scientist. It makes me sad. I'm sad that you don't know these things. You are a person of this land. You've become a member of parliament for this land. Don't be hostile to this land, okay? Let me take you on a Bosphorus tour in Istanbul. Let me tell you that 1 out of every 4 waterfront mansions on the Bosphorus belongs to Armenians. We're just leaving Arnavutköy like this. We're heading out onto the Bosphorus. At the entrance of Arnavutköy, there's the Ali Vafi Pasha mansion, which dates back to 1911. He bought that mansion from a Cretan and an Armenian banker. Right next to the mansion, the mint building that the Armenian banker operated with the permission of the Ottoman government still stands, huge as ever. It was run by Armenians. They were the loyal nation. They were one of us. We even gave them permission to print money. Can you believe that? But again, I'm not generalizing. I'm not saying Armenians are bad. Of course, that's not the case. I could have been born as an Armenian myself. I'm not a racist. My religion, my prophet, in his farewell sermon, says that an Arab has no superiority over a non-Arab, nor a non-Arab over an Arab. In this sense, whether you are Armenian or Assyrian or whatever, you have no superiority over me, nor do I over you in this regard. But if our ancestors in history lifted up the oppressed, then that is a kind of superiority. Or if one of them kicked the oppressed while they were down, then that's their disgrace. You should know these things. You should speak with this knowledge. In 1915, not the majority of Armenians, but the separatist groups known as Hunchak and Dashnak were armed by the Russians, French, and British. And among those Armenians who had been freed from the oppression of the Orthodox Greeks when the Seljuks arrived in 1071, some of them took part in this. They were ungrateful. They formed gangs and raided the Muslim villages here. They also raided Muslim Kurdish villages. They also raided Muslim Turkish villages. They killed even babies in their cradles. You know this very well too, but for ideological reasons, you try to hide it, twist it, and dodge it. Look, I'm telling you this directly from the place itself. I'm in the village of Gurpunar right now. In 1915, Armenians raided this Muslim Kurdish village, and they burned down this mosque you see here. They destroyed the cemeteries here. And the dome of this mosque collapsed, its ceiling caved in, and people were killed here. Those who managed to escape survived. And years later, people brought stones from Bitlis Akhlat, covered the ruined 4 walls of this mosque, and reopened it for worship. That's why George Bey and people like you who only partially know the subject, please tell history as it truly happened. Do not deceive people. Do not mislead people. Do not divide people. Do not set people against each other. For centuries, we lived together as brothers Turks, Kurds, Armenians, Greeks, Assyrians, Chaldeans, and Nestorians. If the Ottoman Turks and Kurds had wanted to kill the Armenians, believe me, they wouldn't have waited until 1915. If they had wanted to, they would have wiped everyone out in 1071, and from that point on, you wouldn't even know you were Assyrian. There would be no Nestorians, no Chaldeans, no Gregorians, no Orthodox left. None of them would have remained. Are you saying that in 1915, the Turks and Kurds suddenly had a revelation, an idea popped into their heads? They supposedly said, let's kill the Armenians. Who are you trying to fool, for God's sake? You lived here in peace and comfort, and it was the wastrels, the scoundrels, the ungrateful ones from among you. They drowned these beautiful lands in blood and hatred and destruction. They destroyed the places of worship. They filled the places of worship with people and burned them alive. If you're really curious, just follow me. I also do Kars Erzurum tours. I have a Kars Erzurum tour this August as well. Join my tour. I won't charge you anything. Don't worry. Let me take you from Kars to Erzurum, village by village. Let me personally show you those mosques where people were packed inside, where buffaloes were driven in, their backs greased with oil and set on fire, and in their agony, those burning buffaloes trampled people where, even now, the stains of human body fat remain on the mosque walls. Would you let me show you those mosques? Yes, hopefully from now on we will be united and together. Hopefully we will forget all words of separation, division, and deviation. You will work for our unity and togetherness. Yes. From Zernic village, which is connected to Grpana between Van and Bashkale. From the place where these walls of suffering stand, I send my greetings to all of you, with the hope and wish that we may reach many happy days together in unity and solidarity until the end of time. Goodbye to you all.